update on this ongoing diplomatic row between the United Nations and Israel. So, to fill you in, the UN's General Secretary, Antonio Guterres, has hit back at what he called the misrepresentation of his comments about the Israel-Hamas war, in which he said that the Palestinians had been subjected to 56 years of suffocating occupation. This led to Israel accusing him of effectively condoning Hamas's massacre over 1,000 Israeli civilians. And here is what he actually had to say about the criticism that's now been aimed at him.
I am shocked by the misrepresentations by some of my statement yesterday in the Security Council, as if I was justifying acts of terror by Hamas. This is false. It was the opposite.
Well, clears that up then. Over to Tel Aviv now, speak to our security editor, Mark White. Mark, thank you very much. So, yes, a massive diplomatic row taking place over there at the moment. The United Nations talk of them being expelled from the country and all sorts of stuff. What's going on?
Yeah, I think Israeli officials are saying just stop digging, Secretary General, that his comments were clear enough yesterday in terms of what he said, the fact that he spoke about Palestinians having had to suffer 56 years of suffocating occupation, that also their land was being stolen effectively by settlers over the years, and they were being subjected to significant levels of violence. It has deeply damaged relations between Israel and the United Nations, which are fractious at the best of times, but at a time, of course, when the UN really has to cooperate with Israel to try to get the likes of aid supplies into Gaza, where it is badly needed at the moment. I've been taking a look back at the latest developments on day 19 of the war against Hamas. Just hours after the UN Secretary General called for an immediate humanitarian ceasefire in Gaza, this was Israel's response. A further intensification of airstrikes against what Israel says were Hamas positions, including command and control compounds, ammunition stores and rocket launchers. But with many of those Hamas positions right in the centre of residential areas, the toll on Gaza's civilians is enormous. The Hamas-controlled health ministry claimed more than 700 died in the latest round of Israeli strikes. Dismissing the Secretary General's call for a ceasefire, Israel said it had no intention of easing up on its operation to destroy Hamas. And there is now widespread anger across Israel after Antonio Guterres went on to say that although there was no justification for the attacks on the 7th of October, they did not occur, he said, in a vacuum.
The Palestinian people have been subjected to 56 years of suffocating occupation. They have seen their land steadily devoured by settlements and plagued by violence, their economy stifled, their people displaced, and their homes demolished.
I think that the Secretary General must resign, because from now on, every day that he is here in this building, unless he apologizes immediately, today we called him to apologize, there's no justification to the existence of this building.
There are growing fears here of a widening regional conflict. The head of the Hezbollah terror group in Lebanon has met leaders from Hamas and Islamic Jihad, pledging support for a resistance axis against Israel, which would include help from Iran and Syria. These unverified images claim to show the aftermath of an Israeli strike on Syrian military positions overnight, which the IDF said had been launching rockets into Israel. Syrian authorities say 8 of their soldiers were killed and 7 injured. And in another serious incident, Israel said it killed a group of Hamas terrorists trying to reach Israel by sea to launch an attack in a community north of Gaza. It came on the back of the largest rocket barrage into central Israel since the 7th of October attacks. Across Tel Aviv, people ran for shelters as Iron Dome missile defence systems intercepted multiple Hamas rockets. One struck a community northeast of Tel Aviv, badly damaging a property. With many more burials in Israel and in Gaza, any thoughts of a ceasefire in this conflict must seem a very long way off. Well, there have been more clashes with Lebanon on the border there with these Hezbollah fighters. There have been more rockets fired into Israel today, not as intense as the rocket barrages yesterday. And on a more optimistic note, perhaps, the Qatari government saying that it is at an advanced stage with some more negotiations, which will hopefully result in the release of some more hostages in the coming days.
Mark, thank you very, very much. Mark White, our security editor, who is in Tel Aviv for us with the latest.